Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer. Welcome, everyone. Now, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by just an endless sea of data, competing priorities, and a mountain of problems that all somehow seem equally urgent, well, you are definitely not alone. It's a universal pain point for business professionals, project managers, and data analysts alike. But what if there was a simple way to just cut through all that noise?
What if you could literally eliminate 80% of your problems by fixing just 20% of their causes? Imagine radically prioritizing your workload like that. Instead of running around trying to put out every single fire, what if you strategically tackled just the most significant factors first, and by doing so watched the vast majority of your issues simply disappear? I know, it sounds a bit like magic, but it's actually based on a proven mathematical and economic principle.
We are, of course, talking about the 80-20 rule. This was originally observed way back in the late 19th century by an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto. He noticed this wild imbalance. Roughly 80% of Italy's land was owned by just 20% of the people. And from that one simple observation, a massive concept was born, recognizing that the relationships between inputs and outputs in our world are, well, rarely equal.
Let's move into Section 1, the 80-20 rule, the law of the vital few. So this idea didn't just stay in 19th century Italy. Fast forward to the 20th century, and a quality management evangelist named Dr. Joseph Juran famously applied this exact principle to quality control. He turned abstract data into a super compelling story of the heavy-hitting causes, what he brilliantly called the vital few, versus the long tail of less significant factors, which he referred to as the useful many. So whether you're looking at customer complaints, software bugs, or business expenses, this principle states that a small handful of root causes are almost always driving the lion's share of your results.
All right, Section 2, Anatomy of a Pareto Chart, Visualizing the Principle. Before we actually jump into Microsoft Excel to build one of these, we kind of need to understand what it is. A Pareto chart is actually considered one of the 7 basic tools of quality control, and it's designed specifically for rapid diagnosis. By combining a sorted histogram with a cumulative line graph, it doesn't just quietly show you what's happening. It visually screams at you, telling you exactly where you need to focus your time and money first. When you look at a Pareto chart, you're basically seeing a few things happening all at once. First, you've got your descending bars representing your categories, measured against the primary y-axis on the left. That's your raw count or frequency. But layered right over that is a line graph tracking the cumulative total measured against a secondary y-axis on the right that runs from 0 to 100%. It shows you exactly how the raw counts and the running percentages overlap to tell a really complete, undeniable story. Moving right along to Section 3, Prepping your Excel data, Setting the Foundation. Now, whether you're using the absolute newest version of Excel or rocking a legacy version, organizing your messy raw data into a clean structure is entirely up to you. We're going to use a really concrete example of customer complaints here to show you the exact 3-column blueprint you need to create on your spreadsheet. We have our categories, things like shipping delays and stockouts, followed by the raw count, and finally, that all-important cumulative percentage column. You'll notice how the count goes down row by row, but the cumulative percentage goes up, marching steadily right toward 100%. Calculating that running total correctly is absolutely crucial here. You do this by taking the current count, adding it to the previous cumulative total, and then dividing by your grand total of all counts. And here is a massive pro tip from our sources. When you write this formula in Excel, you absolutely must use an absolute cell reference. Basically, by locking in your grand total cell with those dollar signs on your keyboard, you ensure the formula copies down perfectly through all your rows without breaking a single thing. Okay, Section 4, the built-in method, quick generation in Excel 2016 and newer. If you're using a modern version of Excel, you're in luck, because Microsoft actually added a native Pareto chart type, making this incredibly easy. You literally just select your 2 columns, your categories, and your counts. You don't even need to manually sort them first. Excel handles all of that behind the scenes. You just click Insert, go to the statistic chart icon, and under Histogram, pick Pareto. With just a few clicks, boom, Excel automatically generates the descending bars and the cumulative line. So once it's generated, how do you actually read the diagnostic? Well, you look at that cumulative percentage line. It's usually this orange or red line crossing over the bars. You just find where it crosses that 80% mark on the secondary axis. Everything to the left of that intersection point represents your vital few. If it crosses 80% by, say, the second bar, you know you have a highly concentrated problem and you know exactly which two things to fix today. It's a real game changer.
Next up, Section 5, the Custom Combo Chart, Ultimate Control, and Target Lines.
But what if you're on an older version of Excel, or maybe you just demand granular control over every single pixel? For that, we build it manually. The first major difference here is that Excel won't do the heavy lifting for you. You actually must manually sort your data from largest to smallest before doing anything else. Once sorted, you select all three of your columns, categories, count, and that cumulative percentage we calculated earlier. Then you just insert a basic combo chart.
Now here is the formatting magic required to make it work. Initially, your percentage line is going to be hugging the floor of the chart, mostly because percentages are basically decimals, and they look tiny next to your raw counts. You have to explicitly tell Excel to move that cumulative percentage series over to the secondary axis. Then you change that specific series to align with markers, and finally hard-code the secondary axis maximum to exactly 1.0, or 100%. Suddenly, your chart looks exactly like the built-in version.
Now, check out this fantastic pro tip from our sources. Relying just on that right side axis can honestly be a bit hard for a viewer to track visually. Explicitly drawing a horizontal 80% threshold line spanning the entire chart makes the cutoff instantly recognizable for your audience. Now, Excel won't do this for you by default, but we can absolutely hack it.
We trick Excel by creating a tiny 2-row helper table somewhere else on your sheet. This is going to be for an XY scatter chart. We set our Y value permanently at 0.8 for both rows, representing that flat 80% mark. For the X values, we start at 0.5, which is right before the first column starts, and we end slightly past our category count. So for example, if we have 6 categories, we set the second X value to 6.5. This ensures the line spans the entire plot area perfectly.
To finish the whole shebang off, you just add this new data to your existing combo chart. You add a new series, change its specific chart type to a scatter with straight lines, and then point it to your X and Y helper values. With a little bit of formatting, maybe making it a gray dashed line, you now have a beautiful dotted target line spanning the entire width of the graph. It makes the vital few literally jump right off the screen.
And finally, Section 6, Conclusion, Applying the Principle.
Let's wrap up this explainer by connecting these technical Excel skills right back to reality. You see, the Pareto chart isn't just an Excel trick, it's a mindset. It forces you to stop treating all problems equally. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Open up your own data right now, calculate those running percentages, and discover your vital few. What is the 20% of causes driving 80% of your own headaches? Find them, fix them, and take your time back.